Welcome in. What's Right We Think Right, episode 378. This episode of What's Right We Think Right is brought to you by our friends at Boost Mobile, as always. And listen, let me just get straight to voicemail, because before we even get to the actual show, I have to get to a little rant about something I just saw. Straight to voicemail, brought to you by our friends at Boost Mobile. Travis Kelce evidently sings an album insert with Taylor Swift. I don't really understand a lot of the words in that sentence. Oh, signs. That makes so much more sense, guys. Okay, I was so excited. I was like, he sings on her album? No, he signs. Okay, that's actually kind of cool. That makes a lot more sense. Titans fire Brian Callahan. How about that? Damonza.
Didn't you? Yeah, now we can bet on him, huh?
We can bet the Titans again. I might this week. If I'm telling you right now, they're getting 7 against New England.
They're going to be a little juiced up.
Coach bounce. If that gets to 7.5, that could be in one of Nick's picks. Red hot Nick's picks, by the way, 4-1. I told you, I promised on Damonza's life I'd never bet on the Titans again until Callahan was fired. I didn't realize. So he finishes his head coaching career, and I think it's fair to say career because I don't know that he's getting another shot. 4-19 straight up, which is horrible. But somehow worse than that, 4-19 against the spread. Vegas knows the Titans are bad. And
that's pretty bad.
That's bad. And Tua, we might actually do more on this at some point in the show. Tua holds this press conference, and it's I think the guy's name's Nathan Robinson. There's that meme where a hot dog car drives into a
building. I Think You Should Leave, and the guy's wearing a hot dog suit.
And then the guy's wearing a hot dog suit, and he's like, who did this? Does Tua not realize when he stands at the podium and he's like, our players only meetings have no leadership, that he's the hot dog suit guy? Like, buddy, you are the quarterback, which makes you a leader, the highest paid player on the team, which makes you the leader. You are the leader. That was crazy.
Him and McDaniel, that tandem, quarterback-coach tandem has got to be the funniest one in, recent memory, huh?
Man, shout out to Big Cat, who made a point other people were afraid to make, but he was correct, which is much like, I don't know if you guys remember, when it looked, in 2016, when it looked like the Cavs were about to get dusted by the Warriors in the finals before the greatest 3-game stretch by the greatest player in the history of the league. LeBron went to one of the press conferences. He had bought matching suits for everyone on the team, but they were Tom Brown suits. So they were suits that the pants were shorts. And so now they're down 3-1. It looks like they're going to lose again. And he's doing this press conference in this kind of odd looking suit.
Right.
And it was like, man, it doesn't really play as well coming off a loss. That's what Big Cat said about Mike McDaniel and his capri pants. And I got to tell you, I don't think he's wrong. Shout out to Big Cat.
You got to switch those out.
Yeah. All right. Here's the thing before we get to the actual show. So there is a great, actually, you know what? I don't even know if it was the Chiefs receipts account that tweeted this, but regardless, I'm scrolling Twitter and I see one of these aggregators has posted the latest ESPN NFL Nation power rankings for the NFL. And I'm so certain that it's bad information that I then just go to the website myself, Google ESPN NFL power rankings. And again, I am not trying to take a shot at the good folks at ESPN. And I don't want to overstate anything. Which is why it pains me to say this article that was posted at 6:45 this morning that leads with, welcome to week 7 of the NFL season. Jets are still winless. Chiefs bounced back. The Buccaneers are shockingly still atop the NFC race. How do all these teams fit in our updated power rankings? We restacked the NFL heading into week 7. Goes on to it. Our panel of more than 80 writers, editors, and TV personalities evaluated how NFL teams stack up against one another, ranking them from 1 to 32. Late breaking, 80-person sample. Watched the NFL this weekend. Saw what the Kansas City Chiefs did to Detroit. They had them at 7 going into last week and dropped them to 9. They watched football this weekend and said the Chiefs are going into the Lions game. We thought they were the 7th best team in football. We've now seen it. They're 9th. Detroit is 2. Buffalo, whose wins have come against teams that are combined 3-21, is 3. I don't want to overstate it when I say this is the single worst power ranking in the history of sports media. I've never seen anything like it. Week 6 result, beat the Lions 30-17. Week 6 ranking 7, and then a little red arrow down. What is happening? You had 80 people on this? Nobody threw their body in front of this bus like, guys, I don't think this one's going to pass the smell test here.
Might have been an error.
It's not an error. Green Bay last week was 8 on this thing. The Chiefs were 7. They watched Green Bay eke past Joe Flacco and the Bengals, and the Chiefs dog walked the Lions, and they're like, Green Bay, you're 6 now. You jump them. What are we doing?
I don't know.
I don't. So, okay. Amazing night of Monday Night Football, but we're not starting there. We're starting with, well, go ahead, Damonza.
Well, yeah, sick doubleheader last night, and that led to 2 upsets. But yeah, you wanted to start with the Chiefs, who were 3-3, lasted Rashee Rice's suspension, stayed afloat, but they still have some ground to make up as they are third in the division.
Here's the reason here's the deal. All is right in the world again.
Yeah, you're pretty happy this morning. He's amped.
It's just everything's back the way it's supposed to be. You guys check the latest MVP odds? Who's the favorite? Patrick. Go on Hard Rock Bet. Check the latest Super Bowl odds. Who's the favorite? The Chiefs. Everything is the way it's supposed to be. And what is so gratifying about this is I thought the way this was going to go was all the folks that wrote the Chiefs obituary 3 weeks ago were going to have to answer for that commentary in January. Instead, because of how, even with the loss 9 days ago by the Chiefs, because of how the rest of the league has looked, and how Kansas City looked on national TV Sunday night, all those folks have to eat it immediately. We're not to Halloween yet. And they all have to be like, all right, I'm dumb. You're right. I'm wrong. It's so good. It's so much fun. And the fact that they're winning this way, with the offense humming, back to you're shocked when they don't get a touchdown, Patrick doing Patrick things, and they don't have their best offensive weapon, not named Patrick Mahomes yet. And then you watch the rest of the league, and we'll get to these games, but you watch the Broncos do everything they can to try to lose to one of the worst teams I've ever seen in the Jets. You watch the Chargers do everything they can. Great play at the end by the Chargers, but the Chargers struggle with a Dolphins team that seems to actively hate each other. You watch the Bills, what they did last night, the Eagles that are ripping themselves apart at the seams, the Lions, we saw them play. And the other reason I'm happy is, you know the one team, Damonza, that you can hold up next to the Chiefs right now and be like, hey, what are you going to say bad about this team, and I'm going to say, no, there isn't anything. The Bucs.
Tampa, yeah.
The Bucs, who are my pick going into the year.
This guy, man.
I'm feeling good. I had to eat it a lot those first couple weeks. I had to come on here, talk about all these concerns. I had to listen to the great, my beloved Kevin Wildes act like Andy Reid and Travis Kelce are not essentially family and worry about the fact that Andy bumped Travis. I had to do all that. And less than a month later, you know the other way I know we're back? Because we're back to the refs. We are the Chiefs are back. I
was just about to say, yeah, it seemed like the refs might have taken a night off there.
Okay, so let's talk about that real quick before we get into the actual game.
0 penalties.
There were 5 penalties called in that game. Let's talk about the penalties part first, because that's what people are whining about. 5 penalties were called in that game. 1 was called on Kansas City, for the record. It was declined. So they did throw a flag on the Chiefs. When Chris Jones jumped off sides, it was declined. The 4 penalties called on Detroit were as follows. They didn't know the rules on their stupid trick play, and that was a black and white, you were not set after being under center, have to call it. Then the Lions were so thrown off by the fact that penalty was called, they got a delay of game on the extra point attempt because they didn't know what they were going to do. So that's 2. The third one was a clear as day, took 3 steps and hit Mahomes in the head by Aiden Hutchinson. And the fourth one was a judgment call, but obviously the right call, a pass interference on Detroit. So it did the most subjective calls that there are: illegal contact, defensive holding, offensive holding, illegal man downfield. Those ones where you can be like, that happens every play or whatever it was. There were 0 called on either team the entire game. So the level of whining, I expected from some of the media and certainly fans. But did you see Kirby Joseph? First team All-Pro last year. Kirby Joseph for the Detroit Lions sent out 24 tweets after the game whining about the refs. Get it together, Detroit. He's one safety.
It was a study that came out.
That's, by the way, I have never seen. Can I just say something? That UTEP, I paid the 8, and here's, so that UTEP study, that, by the way, no one has read. Everyone has just read the news article about it. You know how I know? Because to read that study, you got to subscribe to that journal, which either is going to cost a couple $100 or you can pay $18 for 24-hour access. Guess who paid the $18 for 24-hour access? This guy. Hand up. Guess who didn't? Everyone else. It's one of the most ridiculous studies I've ever seen. The too long didn't read version of it is the Chiefs have played the most playoff games, and therefore their opponents have been called for the most penalties. That, like, give you, it is, but I don't even give a, I don't care about that. I do care about high leverage spots. Again, the games are on TV. 30 million people watch them. Find me the call we're all mad about. But I don't even want to talk about it. I don't. I'm gonna get mad. That's not what today is for. It's not for the idiots in El Paso. So one Lions safety took the loss so well, he went on a tweet storm, tweeting out photoshops of Mahomes kissing a ref. The other Lions safety took the loss so well, he hit Juju Smith-Schuster in the face, and now he's going to have to miss a massive game against Tampa. And then goes in the locker room. And I don't know if you guys watched that video, but it sure seemed like he was about to cry while saying, and I quote, "They were bullying me out there." End quote.
Are you bullying him now?
What? You were bullied out there? Is this Sunday Night Football with the big bad Detroit Lions? Or fourth grade recess? What are you talking about? You got bullied? Should Juju have to sit by himself at lunch? Is Patrick going to have to miss not get a juice box tomorrow? You got bullied? You're supposed to be the bullies. And instead of being the bullies on 4th and goal to set the tone on your first drive of the game and handing the ball to David Montgomery from the 6-inch line, you pop Jared Goff out wide on a play that you don't even know the rules on and throw him a pass. You got bullied? That's a bad look, buddy. That's a bad look. And if you are, listen, the Lions are obviously a good team. I thought Chris Collinsworth made a correct point, which was there's a lot of cracks in the foundation if they're not playing from ahead. If all of a sudden it becomes a drop back passing game and Jared Goff and those hands, the ball is put there, it's shaky. I think they're a very good team, don't get me wrong. And I think Dan Campbell was absolutely right when the way he said, I love Brian Branch, but that's unacceptable. Of course it's unacceptable. It's the professional football is very unique in this regard, Damonza. You almost never see post-game fights. During the game, sure, and pre-game occasionally. But the moment the game's over, what you normally see is embracing.
Yeah.
So the guys pray together, they come together, and it is similar to boxing in that regard, where guys can be going at it until the bell in the 12th round and then immediately hug, because there is an element of this shit is dangerous, man. And we have to
respect factor.
The respect factor of, all right, game's over. And so what Branch did, and for it to be that level of cheap shot, was bizarre. It was really bizarre. It started with Patrick trying to shake his hand. He didn't want to. And then Juju, I don't know what Juju said or what happened, but he hit Juju in the face. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, he shouldn't have done that. I didn't really see it as a cheap shot. I think Juju knew that dude was probably coming up to hit him in the face, dude. I think he knew it.
No way.
I mean,
you never see it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think so. But all right, I want to talk about the Chiefs side of this quickly before we move on. Officially worried about Harrison Butker. There's no way around it. And that makes me very concerned for a high leverage playoff spot. Oddly, for the regular season, and I think you saw it last on Sunday night, there is a benefit to Butker struggling. It is going to force Andy into being a little more aggressive on 4th down. So the Kansas City Star had an article. Since Patrick took over, going into Sunday night, the Chiefs had faced 86 different 4th and 3 or longers inside their own 30. And they had kicked a field goal all 86 times. And then they went for it Sunday night. Now, part of that might have been because the Lions are such a potent offense, but the other piece of it is Butker's not automatic at the moment, and I think the Chiefs being aggressive on 4th down is a net positive. I still think they need to trade for a running back, but Patrick now has full confidence in his offensive line, and Patrick with full confidence in his offensive line, and a semi-competent, much less what is about to be an excellent receiving core, immediately makes the Chiefs the most dangerous offense in football again. Immediately.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And with that, Kelsey's had probably arguably his best game of the season. What are you expecting to see from him when Rice gets back and you got the whole game?
Well, so now you're going to, listen, Juju has been awesome in his role.
Yeah.
But that's going to be Rashee Rice's role. And now you're going to have Rashee Rice doing some intermediate stuff, Kelsey doing intermediate stuff, Xavier and Tyquan Thornton both being deep threats, and Patrick with protection dialed in, being able to hit any quadrant on the field. Again, Pacheco's got to be better, and I wish they had just a competent running game.
I think Pacheco is who Scadaboo is who Pacheco thinks that he is. I think that when he runs and how he feels, his physical makeup, he feels like Cam Scadaboo.
By the way, and Pacheco's faster than Scadaboo, or he was. And Pacheco was that. And then he broke his leg.
The tibula thing.
Yeah, and he just hasn't been the same ever since then. Also, this isn't me being a pedant, and I don't want to be annoying, but I don't have it. Oddly, you combined the two bones in the leg into one. It's
fibula and tibula.
No, fibula and tibia.
Tibia.
I think it's tibia and fibula, and I think you did tibula, which is actually not terrible because I don't know which one he broke of the two, but they are two different bones. Tibia and fibula.
I think it was fib, but might have been tib.
Who knows? But regardless, the offense is they need a little bit more consistent pass rush, but they're just the best team. And they now get the incredibly rare. I think the first time definitely the first time all year the Chiefs play a nondescript 1 p.m. Sunday game, week 7, and they still get Nance and Romo because they're the Chiefs. But they have gone from Friday night Brazil, Sunday afternoon Super Bowl rematch with Tom Brady in KC, Sunday night football against the Giants, the 4:30 p.m. CBS game with Nance and Romo, Monday night against the Jags, Sunday night against the Lions, now just a regular 1 p.m. game, but it's still Nance and Romo, and then it's back to normal for Kansas City when the next weekend they're on Monday Night Football against the Commanders, and the next weekend they are on the big 4:25 CBS game with Nance and Romo. And feels like they're going to be 5-3 going into that Bills game. And I feel really good about it. All right. Tailgater says that I need to stop bullying Brian Branch. I did feel a little badly about that. I'll be honest.
Like just now? What you said on the pod?
Yeah. When I was doing it, I was like, the guy really did seem sad.
Yeah, it's like really you're bullying him even more. You're actually bullying him now.
Yeah, I am. But I don't know. Maybe that was mean. But I really didn't like him hitting Juju in the face. Juju's nose.
Yeah, I was just about to say he had a nosebleed.
I mean, that was like a real hit, man. What I really didn't like was Patrick seeing it and then running to the fight. And then there was a moment where like Patrick gets lost in the morass of bodies. Yeah, that was I didn't love I tell you, I didn't love that. Today's show is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. New customers can place a $5 bet, and if it hits, you get not only your winnings, but also $150 in bonus bets. The pennant's on the line, the lights are brighter, the pressure's higher, and one swing can change everything. You can be a part of every pitch, every moment on Hard Rock Bet. New customers place a $5 bet, and if it hits, you get not only your winnings, but also $150 in bonus bets. Plus, every day this week on Hard Rock Bet, you can get a profit boost for a postseason baseball parlay. There's new promos every day. Boost your same game parlay or same game parlay max so your bet pays extra winnings. Want to see what everyone else is betting on? Who's going to homer? Top picks or parlays across any other sport? Hard Rock Bet app literally shows you. It shows you. It's another reason to download the app just for the info. Tap Discover, and you can see trending picks and parlays at any time. Download the Hard Rock Bet app and make your first deposit. All right, Damonza, now we can get to the Monday Night Football doubleheader.
Oh, yeah. So who would have saw Atlanta upsetting Buffalo? I guess you kind of did, and you were right.
Well, and not entirely. To be fair,
you saw
I felt
kind
strongly
of
about it. I didn't even include Atlanta plus the points as one of my picks, but I did think they were live, and I also thought Atlanta was the hardest team in the league to kind of get a beat on, because week one they play a tight game, comes down to a missed field goal against the Bucs.
Nope.
They get annihilated by Carolina, but Carolina's oddly been a good team at home. They beat Washington, but Washington doesn't have Jayden Daniels. And then there's one other game they played. I forgot what it was. And then they had a bye. And so I just thought Atlanta was a little bit of a, I don't want to say unknown. Oh, they beat the Vikings 22-6 in a weird game when Wentz started, when J.J. McCarthy was in, and then J.J. McCarthy's been hurt since then. But go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, so Bijan and Drake London accounted for 396 of 443 yards on offense. Buffalo has dropped their second straight, and Josh Allen's MVP odds are up to plus 300. He's number 2 behind Mahomes. Is it time for the Josh Allen as the best player in the NFL chance to come to a simmer?
All right, so again, hold on. Let me find the exact quote. Let me see if I should have looked this up beforehand. Okay. So this is, you guys know that I actually have been pretty pro Bills the last couple years. Last year, when everybody thought they might be in a rebuild, I thought they'd make the AFC Championship game. I thought they'd be really good. They were. This year, I once again picked them to go to the AFC Championship game, and I've been pretty consistent that I think Josh is the second best quarterback in football. With that said, the Josh Allen hyperbole on some of these things has always mystified me. And the example of it this year is 3 weeks ago, after a Monday Night Football game against the Dolphins, when Josh was good, don't get me wrong, but it was against the Dolphins, and that game, if you remember, was really close late, and it was coming on the heels of a Jets game where they annihilated the Jets, but it was a James Cook game. Josh had thrown for 140 yards and no touchdowns. Greeny on Get Up says, quote, "I'm watching that game last night, and no one has ever played that position better than Josh Allen." Again, the quote is, "No one has ever played that position better than Josh Allen." And it just seems like we are so eager to anoint the next guy when we're in the midst of the guy that we sometimes, get a little ahead of ourselves. With that said, listen, Josh has had a rough couple weeks. I still think he's the second best quarterback in football. I also think that it was likely unsustainable, the streak he was on not turning the ball over. And now all of a sudden you've seen He's turned the ball over 4 times in the last 3 games. And the Bills, in my opinion, have real question marks. They have 4 wins. They beat Baltimore, which at the time we thought was an awesome win. The defense allowed 40, and they needed that late comeback to beat them. Baltimore has won 1 game since then. They beat the Jets in one of the weirdest games of the year because they outscored them 30-10. Despite Josh and they outgained them not weird, but they just ran all over them. They outgained them 400-154, and the Jets had no shot. The Jets, by the way, have won 0 games all year. They beat the Dolphins in a game Josh played great, but in a game that also was they were tied with the Dolphins with 7.5 minutes left. The Dolphins have won 1 game all year. They beat the Saints in a game that the Saints thought they took the lead in the 4th quarter only to have a touchdown overturned. They had to settle for a field goal, and that game was a 2-point game in Buffalo with 7.5 minutes left. The Saints have won 1 game all year. They then lost to the Patriots and got thoroughly handled last night by Atlanta, and were, in my opinion, lucky to have a shot to steal that game because Atlanta, after doing anything it wanted for the first quarter and a half, the offense kind of went comatose on them. And the Bills are now in a spot where they have squandered already, Damonza, what was supposed to be their biggest edge for this season, which is an incredibly soft schedule that would lead them to their first 1 seed since Jim Kelly was the quarterback. And now they wake up this morning and they're not even leading their division. And they still have games left against the Chiefs, against the Bucs, at the Patriots, against the Eagles, at the Steelers, at the Texans. And you just wonder, is this going to be another year where Buffalo, I still think they're going to win the division, by the way. Don't get me wrong. I would
So you
obviously
wouldn't put
bet.
a little you wouldn't put a taste on New England winning the division at plus 185?
It's only plus 185? Is that
Yeah,
right?
I guess Vegas thinks so too.
No. I mean, no. I might put something on Buffalo at minus 230. I still think Buffalo, I would have thought Buffalo is minus 300 to win the division.
Not believing in New England?
No, but no, I mean, I think New England, I picked New England to make the playoffs. I just think Buffalo is still going to win 11 games at least. And I don't see New England, but regardless, my point is this. It sure looks like it's going to be a season like we've seen a lot with the Bills, where they win the division, but they don't get the bye. They beat the hell out of a team in the wild card round, and then they play someone in their weight class in the divisional round or the conference championship game and get beaten. And it's really crazy how bad that defense has looked this year. The Falcons only scored 24 points. They moved the ball at will. Drake May had his coming out party against them. They seem to, even though I don't know that the stats back it up, they just seem to be a defense that can get got. And Josh is a great player. But the conservative, low-risk style that he's been playing the last year and a half really doesn't fit if you don't have a defense that you can rely on to get stops. And I don't think they have that defense this year. And so Right now, if I had to pick it, Damonza, I would still say Chiefs-Bills AFC Championship game. But now we're staring at a very real possibility that game is going to be an Arrowhead. When the Bills were 4-0 with the Chiefs at 1-2 about to face the Ravens. Life comes at you fast, man. And the Bills also need a good win. They just need a good win. What are you laughing about?
You got to get on top of your division first.
Same with Buffalo.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, same 100%. With Buffalo. And I am, we'll get to the Chargers and the Broncos in a minute. Let's talk Falcons just for a second.
So it feels like Michael Penix has kind of gotten lost in the shuffle as far as quarterbacks in his draft class. What do you make of Michael Penix as of now?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's going to still be a little lost in the shuffle with me because I like, there are certain things you really like. There's also, like last night, when that game was wrapped, essentially, all Atlanta need do was run the ball 3 times, kick a field goal. With 2 minutes left, they called a pass play that Penix made a horrific decision, and it was this close being a pick-6 tie game when the game was basically over. So some of that concerns me, but Drake London is really good, and Bijan is just sensational.
Yeah, and spoke highly on him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I picked him to win Offensive Player of the Year as a rookie. Yeah. Here's what Bijan's done since he came into the league. His rookie year, he had 980 rushing yards, 480 receiving yards. So he had 1,460 yards with 8 touchdowns. Really good. Not super elite, but really good. Last year, he had 1,450 rushing yards, another 430 receiving yards, and 15 touchdowns. Elite. This year, he has 480 rushing yards and already 330 receiving yards, only 3 touchdowns, but is on pace to shatter, I think, the yards from scrimmage record for a season. He's got 800 yards from scrimmage through 5 games. Like,
not
where
on pace to cash my bet, though. My God,
what's your bet?
I had Bijan to score the most rushing touchdowns.
That's such a bad beat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a bad beat, but it's so crazy because he's having all such a great year.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So, like, just for context on what he's doing as a receiver, he has 338 receiving yards. Again, they've already had their bye. So he's played 5 games. Jamar Chase, who is Chase and Abuka.
Yeah.
Abuka have 468 and 469 receiving yards in an extra game. So he's averaging.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, that's crazy. He is on a yards per game basis. Right now, he is. Where is he? Oh, I can't sort by that. But I mean, he's 68 receiving yards a game. He's top 20 in the NFL. He's so good. He's so good. By the way, the Falcons, my NFC playoff picks, Damonza, going into the year, not in order, but just the 7. Eagles, Commanders, Lions, Packers, Bills. Bills. Hold on, wait. I'm going to have something wrong. Oh, no. You know what? I take it back. It was Eagles, Commanders, Lions, Bears, Packers, Bucs, Rams. I had the Falcons in, and then the Penix trade happened, and I took them out and put the Packers in. So that's what it was. Did I say the Penix trade? The Parsons trade happened. Pardon me. When the Parsons trade happened, I put the Packers in because I had them out. That's what it was. I was like, wait, did I have 8 playoff teams? But no, I think Atlanta's at least semi-legit. All right, let's talk about the other Monday night game.
So the Bears pulled out the upset in that inclement weather. A lot of turnovers for Washington. Some of it was the weather. Some of them were just turnovers. So we now have 2 good games between these 2 teams. What did this game mean for either one of them? Did it mean anything for anybody?
Well, listen, no, for the Bears, I don't think played great, but they got to win. And this is, last year the Bears deserved some wins they didn't get. They've now had back-to-back games where they got wins. By the way, in one of the most unlikely occurrences, totally meaningless, but one of the most unlikely occurrences probably in NFL history, the Bears have won back-to-back games by the exact score of 25-24. Like that, I don't know if that was a scoregami, but that's not a score you see often. And they've now done it in back-to-back games. So the Bears, they lose a heartbreaker in week 1 to the Vikings. They get annihilated by Detroit. And then play great against Dallas, play poorly but win against the Raiders, and play okay and win against the Commanders, and had some tough calls go against them. So maybe they felt like they deserved it. But it would have been, Damonza, a crushing loss.
Yeah.
You can't win the turnover battle 3-0 and lose that game. You just can't. So the Bears now, they get the Saints at home. Like, all of a sudden, what was supposed to be a very tough stretch in the middle of their season, look at their next 4. Home for the Saints, then back-to-back road games, which going into the year you would have said, oh my God, that's as tough of a back-to-back road game as any team has all year. At the Ravens, at the Bengals, and then home for the Giants. Now, the
Lamar
Ravens will have...
Yeah, I was about to say Lamar.
He will be back.
So, yeah.
No, he will be back, but it'll also be Lamar's first... If you're going to have to play Lamar, playing him in his first game back would be the time to play him. And the Bengals are just stone dust. Like, the Bengals are drawing to nothing. And then you get the Giants. Like, the Bears now have a chance. I thought the running game looked good coming out of the bye. I thought the run defense looked good. They are, lucky for them, McLaurin didn't play. Again, I'm not trying to overhype the Bears, but they have started 0-2, and now they're 3-2 out of the bye, feeling like, all right, we're playing for something. And Caleb is, again, up and down, but you're seeing some progression. Here's what I will say about Jayden. And I don't know how closely everyone watched that game last night. I know there were 2 games going on. Jayden takes some tough hits, man. And I know I'm going to sound like a broken record on this, but he's played 2 years or a year and a half. He has suffered an injury that made him miss time both years. Not a lot of time, but he's missed time both years. And yes, last night, he didn't seem to be protecting himself. That worries me. The interception was a terrible throw. That's going to happen. I'm not going to kill the guy. He's taking care of the ball throughout his career. And the fumble,
the bobble, or the handoff, I guess. That's the rain.
Bad. It's the rain. It's not good. I mean, it cost him the game, you could argue. I'm not going to kill him for that either.
Caleb for doing that. In the broadcast. They would have cooked him. Yeah. 100%.
Especially in that spot with a lead late in the game. Yeah. And so, but here is what's crazy right now, Damonza, about where the Commanders are. There's obviously 16 teams in each conference. The Commanders are 3-3. Where do you think? Don't look. Where do you think they are right now, standings wise, 1 through 16 in the NFC?
In their division?
No, in the conference.
Or in the conference?
1 through 16.
Call it 8th, 9th, between that. I don't want to say 8 and 10. I know that's 3 answers, but in that range.
No, it's fine. They're 12th. 3-3 and 12th in the conference.
NFC's loaded.
Well, here's what's true about the NFC versus the AFC. The NFC has won team with less than 2 wins, the Saints. And the Saints are oddly like frisky.
Right.
The Saints the Saints lost a close one to the Cardinals in week 1, lost a close one to the Niners in week 2, got annihilated by Seattle in week 3, lost a close one to the Bills in week 4, beat the Giants, and lost a close one to the Patriots this week. They're obviously not good, but they're not horrific. But they're the only 1-win team in the NFC. The AFC, Damonza, has 5 1 or 0-win teams. Now, one of them's Baltimore, who we think is not really a 1-win team because when Lamar gets back. But Miami, Cleveland, Tennessee, and the Jets are horrible. There's then also a 2-win Bengals team, which is a 0-win team since Joe Burrow came back, or since Joe Burrow got hurt, and a 2-win Raider team that, while I'm rooting for them, have not looked good. So it just feels like the AFC is shockingly just all the bad teams are there. So the reason I'm mentioning that in this conversation is for Bears Commanders, the other reason this matters is if either of these teams going to make the playoffs, it's probably going to be through the wild card.
Yeah.
And that head-to-head loss for the Commanders is a big one. And speaking of playoff in the AFC, let me ask you this, because the only team that is in the AFC that I don't know, like I'm very confident, and again, the Raiders thing makes me sad because I put so much take equity in them, but all of the 2 or 1 or 0-win teams in the AFC are just bad. That's Cincy, Raiders, Ravens with an asterisk, Miami, Cleveland, Tennessee, and the Jets. The only team that has 2 wins that I'm not including in there is Houston as a bit of an unknown. Let's call Houston something of an unknown. And then the 3 or more win teams are Chiefs, Broncos, Jags, Bills, Patriots, Chargers, Steelers, Colts. So here would be my question for you. I just listed 8 teams. Let's assume, so the playoff picture, if we just, instead of even including the Steelers, we say if the Steelers fall out, it will be because Baltimore win, like that division's going to get 1 team. Pittsburgh or Baltimore, the AFC North. That leaves for the other 3 divisions 6 playoff spots. Here are the 7 teams vying for it. Colts, Chargers, Pats, Bills, Jags, Broncos, Chiefs. Which of those 7 is most likely to be odd man out?
The
do
Broncos.
you think? You say the Broncos.
Yeah, you said Colts. Yeah, Denver. Yeah, I don't.
I'll say it again.
Bills.
Because I thought
yeah.
you were maybe going to say the Jags. I would
No.
also say the Broncos.
I believe in the Jags and their defense. I mean, Trevor Lawrence he's a little goofy, but I believe in that defense.
Shaky.
Yeah.
And what the Jags also have going for them is 2 games left against the Titans, a game left against the Jets, a game left against the Raiders, a game left against the Cardinals.
Weaker division, right, as well.
I agree with you, but one of those teams is going to be out. All right, before we get to definitely I think the best game of Sunday afternoon, I want to talk to you guys about Chad Powers and our walk-on Mount Rushmore. 8 years after flushing his promising college football career down the toilet, hotshot quarterback Russ Holliday tries to resurrect his dreams by disguising himself as Chad Powers, a talented oddball who walks on to the struggling South Georgia Catfish. Sidebar, this was something I always wondered pre-Achilles surgery, if this was something that with the new NIL stuff and everything, I always had in the back of my head, I'm like, if Damonza at like 27 wanted to be like, hey, I want to try playing college basketball again, could he have done it? I don't know. Chad Powers did it. You wouldn't have had to wear disguised Damonza. Based on Eli Manning's Eli's Place segment from ESPN and Omaha Productions. Make sure to check out Chad Powers, now streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus for bundle subscribers. We're in week 3 of my Mount Rushmore of college football walk-ons, paying tribute to the legends who started no scholarship, no spotlight, and still carved out unforgettable careers. The first 2 were just stone locks. J.J. Watt and Baker Mayfield. Today, we add another guy that I think is a lock. And maybe it's a little recency bias. But Stetson Bennett is my third on walk-on Mount Rushmore. Stetson Bennett was a walk-on at Georgia and didn't take a snap his whole freshman season because Justin Fields committed to Georgia and Bennett decides to then transfer. So he doesn't play as a walk-on in 2017, obviously, and then transfers. He then goes to Jones College. He then goes back to Georgia, and he sits behind Jake Fromm. He then takes over the team in 2021, and I had these numbers up before. The numbers are good, don't get me wrong. I mean, they're not unbelievable. He did lead the nation in passing yards, though, his senior year. 29 touchdowns, 7 picks his junior year. 27 touchdowns, 7 picks his senior year. But the reason he is on walk-on Mount Rushmore is his junior and senior year, they won the national championship. Those 2 years, as a starting quarterback, they lost 1 game. Both of those years, Stetson Bennett was the national championship game offensive MVP. He goes to Georgia, and despite being 5'10", maybe, is the signal caller for 2 of the greatest college football teams of this era, winning back-to-back national championships, winning back-to-back offensive MVPs in those national championship games. He is our third person on walk-on Mount Rushmore. Make sure to check out Chad Powers, new episodes streaming every Tuesday on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus for bundle subscribers. All right, Damonza, let's get to Bucs Niners.
All right, so the injuries keep piling up, and so do the W's, man. Your guy Baker is defying logic out here. How worried are you that they're peaking too early?
I'm not worried at all, because this was, if you guys remember, in the preseason when I picked the Bucs to go to the Super Bowl, the logic was I think that they can be the 1 seed. And they are right now on Hard Rock Bet the favorites to be the 1 seed. And you're about to see why. If we throw their schedule up, and then we'll get to the actual game. They have the next 6 weeks are tough. At Detroit angry, coming off a loss is tough. At New Orleans, hard place to play, should win. A bye week, then home for New England, at Buffalo, at the Rams. But because they've already booked, Damonza, 5 wins, let's be pessimistic here about that middle stretch, okay?
Right.
And say they go 2-3, beat New Orleans, and then go 1-3 against Detroit, New England, Buffalo, and the Rams, right? That would put them at 7-4 going into a final 6 games of home Arizona, home New Orleans, home Atlanta, at Carolina, at Miami, home Carolina. They easily can get to 13 wins this year, even if they struggle the next month. I think that they have a real shot at 14 wins. And Baker, every week, makes an MVP play. 3rd and 14 this past week in a 1-point game or whatever. I think it was a 1-point game when he did it. Him somehow escaping the rush and finding a scramble for 14 yards. And then hitting the little guy from Oregon, Tez. What's his name? Tez Johnson. Tez Johnson, who Damonza weighs 145 pounds, hits him for the touchdown. Like, I mean, he was the 165. Yeah, but Worthy's a lot taller than him.
Right.
The Worthy's my height and is 165 or 165. Yeah. Tez is a legit 145. I don't care what he's listed at. And I mean, so no Mike Evans, no Godwin. Ibuka goes out. His injuries on the offensive line. And I understand you're playing the Niners, and they're like, we don't want to hear about injuries. And poor Fred Warner. Yeah. And the Niners, by the way, are now done. That's not recoverable. It was unbelievable what they've been able to overcome so far, but the defense is now going to be terrible every week, and Brock Purdy or Mac Jones aren't going to save you. So the Niners are, to me, because of the injuries, a cross-off. I do want to talk about Baker and MVP, because this was a great... You should go to my Twitter and check the replies to... I sent out last night, the moment the Bills game ended, I sent out, and just like that, your Vegas favorite for NFL MVP is ... Patrick Mahomes. And the responses to that are just folks that literally can't read. Or idiots, I don't know. Not everyone, but a lot of them. Because that was not an opinion. That was a statement of fact. Now, to be fair, the odds hadn't posted yet. I just know how gambling works. And with Josh Allen being the favorite and Patrick already being ahead, like going into last night, it was Josh Allen 1, Patrick 2, Baker 3. And so Josh having that type of game was going to knock him down. Baker wasn't going to leap Patrick when not, week 6 for them was already baked in. To be clear, right now the MVP is Baker Mayfield. Yeah. But that's different than they don't vote right now. Right. But right now, if they did vote Damonza, I don't think it's debatable. Yeah. If they voted right now, Baker should get every vote. His team's been awesome. They've dealt with a ton of injuries. He's been sensational. He's been clutch. He is, right now, the MVP. The odds are saying they think Baker's going to come down to earth a bit and Mahomes is only going to get better. And the other thing the odds are incorporating now is, could the Chiefs end up with a really good seed, which is really helpful with MVP. And so that's where... but right now, Baker's the MVP of the league. What a story, man. What a story. Man. I'm so happy for him. I'm so happy for Baker. All right, I want to get to the other games, including the Eagles' loss on Thursday night, which at this point seems like it was a month ago. But first, let me tell you about my friends at Boost Mobile. You're thinking about upgrading to the all-new iPhone 17 Pro? It's designed to be the most powerful iPhone ever, but you're also thinking about all the traffic on your way to the store, the hassle of transferring all your data. Good news, when you order a new phone online with Boost Mobile, they'll send an expert to your home or work to deliver your brand new iPhone 17 Pro and get you all set up on Boost Mobile within minutes, no hassle. Visit boostmobile.com to get started. Delivery available for select devices purchased at boostmobile.com. Terms do apply. All right, Damonza, let's get to the other games from the weekend.
Giants defeating the Eagles 34-17. Last week you said if Saquon is quiet on Thursday Night Football, it's fair to say that it'll be quiet all year. He didn't break 60 yards, so we're here.
And he had 30 on the first 2 plays.
Right. Which is weird.
The Eagles are teetering. They're teetering. Now, what does teetering for the Eagles mean? They'll miss the playoffs? No. But could they be staring at a year similar to the last time they made the Super Bowl?
Right.
Where they make the playoffs and then get beat up in the first round of the playoffs because they're a team that really was never together all year? Possibly. And the Giants just flat thoroughly outplayed them. And one of the concerns for Philly all year was this really tough schedule. We gave them a ton of credit because despite the tough schedule, they found a way to start 4-0. But then in what was supposed to be a bit of a softer portion of the schedule, home for the Broncos and then one of your Giants games, you give those wins back and you still have on the schedule at Green Bay, home for the Lions, at the Chargers, at the Commanders, at the Bills, another Commanders game, a Bears game, at the Cowboys. Like, not a lot of soft spots for a team that right now can't throw the ball. And right now doesn't have an offensive identity. So I think and they don't have Saquon to lean on. So yeah, I think and for the Giants, listen, Jackson Dart's going to get himself killed. It's fun. It's exciting. He's going to get himself killed. And
I really did not like what Dable did in that game. I've never been like I felt really bad for Russell Wilson. And also on top of it, you yelling at the guy whose job it is to look out for the player's safety. What if the guy's actually still like messed up? You're just trying to throw him back in the game. Throw Jameis Winston in the game or something if you want to see Russell out there. I thought that was I didn't like how they did Russell Wilson that night. I thought that was crazy.
That is a perfect take. Everything you said there is 100% correct.
Yeah, really.
Every piece of it. I think Dable should be fined a lot of money for that.
Yeah.
I think screaming at the doctor when you're checking a guy for a concussion is crazy. And also, listen, Dable, none of it made sense. First of all, to your point, if you are that horrified at the prospect of Russell Wilson coming into the game, Jameis Winston's on your roster. Now, they couldn't put Jameis in because he's the emergency third quarterback. So if you put him in, you can only use your emergency third quarterback. If you use your emergency third quarterback, your previous two quarterbacks cannot go back in the game. They're done. It's like a baseball player who gets taken out.
Fair.
But you could have just made Jameis the backup and made Russ the emergency third quarterback. That's first of all. Second of all, if you don't trust Russell Wilson that much, then don't on the second play that he's in there call a pass play. And this was the most damning. You saw once Dart, and then I'll get to the doctor part. Once Dart went out of the game, you got a real test of how terrified you were without him.
Yeah.
On the next drive he was back in, he called
quarterback run.
Quarterback runs.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? So that's the football piece of it. The ethics piece of it is the head coach screaming at the team doctor can simply never happen. Ever.
Yeah, like,
especially when they're checking the guy for a concussion. Like, that just can't happen.
100%. And what
I thought that was
a
terrible look. Correct. I agree with every single thing you said. All right, let's quickly go through the other games.
The London, we got the Broncos defeating the Jets 13-11. One of the worst football games in recent memory, I guess. That was pretty bad.
Truly one of the worst football games ever played.
Really bad.
And listen, Nick Bonito is one of the best players in the entire NFL. That Broncos defense is awesome. Every single thing I've said about Bo Nix not only is correct, it might have been too nice. And the Jets game management is just, Aaron Glenn is not covering himself in glory on this. But in his defense, Justin Fields was unplayably bad in that game. That's one of the worst games I've ever seen. And there is no one in the world that with a straight face can say they feel better about the Broncos for getting that win. That team's offense is really a problem for one of the 7 teams Sean Payton's ever coached that he thought could win the Super Bowl. Next.
We got Panthers defeating the Cowboys 30-27.
All right, we just have to accept this weird fact for the moment. The Panthers at home are a decent team. I don't know I don't know why. And I don't know what explains the discrepancy. But on the road, they got annihilated by the Jaguars. They lost to the Cardinals. They got annihilated by the Patriots. At home, they beat the Falcons 30-0, beat the Dolphins, and beat Dallas. And Rico Dowdle all of a sudden is unstoppable. So, and the Cowboys, on the other hand, they just have the worst defense in the league.
Yeah.
And every day you see more example of how much Micah Parsons was holding together by himself. Next.
Speaking of that, we got Seahawks defeating the Jaguars 20-12.
Yeah. The Seahawks are probably the best team that I haven't really talked much about. They're just a good team. And this was a weird game. The Jags games have been so weird because they only scored 12 points and they lost. And it was, I think, one of Trevor's better games. Like, they've scored more points in one and he hasn't played well. But Seattle's just good. Now, Seattle's wins before the Jags game, no, that's not true. They beat the Steelers. They've beaten the Jags. They beat the Saints and the Cardinals. They lost a game to the Niners that they had a chance to steal late. And they lost to Baker in one of Baker's crazy late game heroics. Like, the Seahawks are just a good team. And Darnold's playing awesome. Credit to him. Like, Darnold's playing really good. And the Jags, Brian Thomas just hasn't been right. Trevor hasn't been right. The defense is really good. And they're not getting enough out of Travis. They haven't figured out how to use Travis Hunter yet. Next.
We got the Chargers defeating the Dolphins 29-27.
That would have been a horrifying loss for the Chargers. Justin Herbert made an unbelievable play late in that game to shake off the rush and find McConkey. And that's a great win for the Chargers. You know, I do think that last AFC playoff spot, Chargers, Broncos, Jags, 2 will be in, 1 will be out. So all of these games matter. And then after the game, we talked about it at the top of the show, but to his press conference where he's like, who's responsible for team leadership?
Is he like the reason?
Yeah, that's the meme. That's exactly right.
Is he the reason McDaniel's not getting fired right now?
I don't know.
It's like, oh, if the quarterback's new, how can we really even blame the coach? But
I don't know. But Tua's lack of accountability is jarring. And
every time he gets up there, it's a deflection. Like it's deflecting towards the fans.
Is this
like,
an
I've got a
unfair
family.
take? Is this an unfair take? The media gives Tua something of a pass for these post-game and pre-game comments that we wouldn't give other quarterbacks because we all kind of feel badly about his concussion history.
Yeah, I mean,
you're shaking your head, so maybe that means you don't think that's a fair take.
No, I mean, I think
no,
that, yeah.
I just feel like criticism of Tua.
Yeah.
It almost falls to me in my brain like if there's a weird, almost like Damar Hamlin feeling to it, which is like, man, this guy is. We have seen this guy go through so much, and so it feels like criticism is unfair. Like, can you imagine if someone, like, again, he's not a quarterback, but like nobody would go on TV and be like, I tell you the problem with the Bills, that's safety. Like, nobody's gonna come after Damar Hamlin,
that's
poor
fair.
guy. Like, we saw him, and I feel like there's an element of that with Tua.
Yeah,
where,
but 100%.
Go ahead.
And yeah, it can't be. I mean, I don't want to say it can't be like that, but at the same time, like, there has to be some type of accountability, and if you can't grade him on the same scale,
he constantly is throwing his teammates under the bus.
Yeah,
constantly in games where he plays terribly. He threw 3 picks. All right, next game.
We got Rams defeating the Ravens 17-3. Oh my God, Lamar Jackson means a lot to this organization.
You think? Yeah. And now, I mean, glass quarter full. The defense finally had a pulse.
Yeah, because I definitely thought the Rams were going to carve them up.
Yeah. Glass 3/4 empty. 1-5 might be unrecoverable.
Yeah, and you kept saying like our path is to win the division. Pittsburgh,
No,
it's looking
they need Pitt. My point is they need Pittsburgh to fall apart.
Yeah.
You need Pittsburgh to fall apart. Next.
Colts defeat Cardinals 31-27.
Yeah, listen, I guess the Colts are the other good team that I don't talk a lot about with the Seahawks. I mean, the Colts have just been really good. And by the way, I now have a new kind of ideal. If the Chiefs can't get the 1 seed, which it's going to be tough. I hope the Colts do. The Colts getting the 1 seed means Arrowhead Invitational is back on the table.
Get out of here. They're legit.
I'm serious. Colts get the 1 seed, lose their first playoff game, Arrowhead Invitational back. Like that exists. But the Colts up to this point look really good. Now,
faith in Daniel.
Flip side, Jacoby Brissett scored 27 on him. So that's not ideal. But the offense and Daniel Jones look good. Next.
Patriots defeat the Saints 25-19.
The story of the Patriots right now is Mac Jones deserves real, like, bottom of the ballot MVP consideration. Yeah. Like 5th place right now. He's been awesome. He's a dude, man. And so I don't think they have a ton of great weapons, and he is chucking that sucker downfield and carving up defenses. The Patriots got a horrific whistle in that game. Had some phantom calls take away huge plays. They overcame it. Next.
Steelers defeat the Browns 23-9.
Credit to the Steelers, man. Off a bye, continuing to win. Dylan Gabriel looked terrible. Like, really bad. Yeah. And
you see the thing that he did when the guy hit him? He, like, pushed him in. Like, the guy hit him. It wasn't really a late hit. He threw it, and then he hits Gabriel, and then Gabriel grabs him by his shoulder pads and, like, mushes him into the ground. Like, he, like, threw, like, he got, like, a little angry.
At Dylan Gabriel's size.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. The Browns are terrible. Steelers, I need to pay more attention to the Steelers. I have thought it's kind of smoke and mirrors, but they're now 4-1. They have the 2nd best record in the AFC. I got to give them credit. Next.
Raiders defeat the Titans 20-10.
That's just a horrible game. I mean, good for the Raiders for winning it, but the Titans are just like, we'll see what the Titans look like now that Brian Callahan's been fired. Next.
Packers defeat the Bengals 27-18.
Not a great win by the Packers.
Yeah.
I mean, a win's a win, but they haven't looked great.
Yeah.
Off a bye, they haven't won a game. They hadn't won a game since September 12th or something. And I mean, they controlled that entire game, but not great. And now this from Lebitard show. These sons of bitches. Go ahead.
Oh, wait, is this a vampire or a werewolf?
How dare Dan Lebitard send this tweet?
You kind of do look like Hotel Transylvania a little bit.
Okay. I sent Lebitard's crew a video recapping my... Long story short is this. Dan and I bet $5,000 on Chiefs-Lions. He then, for some reason, thought we were betting a white Corvette because the guy does... I don't get it. I then wanted my money. I then felt bad because it seems like he thought it was a gag, but I made the point of if I wasn't betting with him, I would have bet that elsewhere. So like now all of a sudden am I going to lose money? But I had told Dan I was playing in a huge poker game last night. And so I said if I won in the poker game, he could distribute my winnings from him to the rest of his staff. And I sent him a video saying, sadly, I lost in the poker game.
I need my
I'm going to need that money. I'm going to need that. Run me that money. I'm going to need that money. So that's the long story short of that. If you haven't been listening to my, occasional appearances with the Lebitard crew. All right, let's quickly do some listener questions before I go.
Corn says if Chiefs ended only getting a wild card and went all the way and won the Super Bowl, what would the media's take on it be?
Well, I mean, in the very short term, it would once again be you can never doubt the Kansas City Chiefs. And then come about mid-September next year, we'd get a new round of is the dynasty now over? Like, they're just going to step on that rake every year. Next.
Christopher says no talk of Seahawks in the discussion for top teams. despite number 2 quarterback this season, number 1 wide receiver, and number 1 defensive line.
Listen, Chris, I don't think I would quite have Darnold as the number 2 quarterback, but he's been excellent. And obviously Jackson Smith and Jigba has been unbelievable. The D-line under Mike McDonald's been really good. The Ravens defense hadn't been the same since he left. That's a fair critique, man. It's a fair critique that we've been under discussing Seattle. That's fair. Next.
North asks, do you still have the Ravens winning the division?
No, I'd have Pittsburgh
What's going
winning
on,
it.
man?
No, I mean, the odd, Damonza, it's not, the Ravens have better odds right now to win the division than the Patriots.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, Lamar, hopefully he can come back and scorch it. But
come back and just got to get on like an instant 5-game winning streak. Next.
Yeah. Inaki says, hi, Nick. Follow you from Spain. I have a question. What's more shocking for you watching the sports compared to 2000? Athleticism of almost any quarterback or automatic 50-yard field goals?
No, the quarterback stuff. I think I would have thought that, field goal kicking is going to continue to progress. But these superhero quarterbacks are unlike really anything we had in the past. All right, last one.
Kafrika asks, should the Bengals have traded for Jameis Winston instead of Flacco?
That's what I would have done. I think that would have been more fun. I think it would have made more sense. I think Jamar and T would have liked it. That's what I would have done. But that's not what they did. And Mike Tomlin didn't like that the Browns traded Flacco. That was funny.
That was funny.
He's like, evidently Andrew Berry knows more than me. I wouldn't have done that. All right, reminder, like, rate, subscribe, review. That helps us out a ton. The subscriptions matter a lot more than the liking and the rating, but we'll take it all. But please subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, all of that. And huge thank to our sponsors, Hard Rock Bet, Boost, and of course our friends at Zen and Hulu Plus with Chad Powers. Thank you to The Volume. Thank you to Blue Duck. I will see you guys on Thursday. Talk to you then. What's right?